Hey everybody, welcome to the Dating is Hard podcast. I'm your host, Joe Welkie. For everything you need to know about this show, head on over to datingishardcomedy.com. Follow the Instagram at datingishardcomedy and follow me on Instagram at Joe Welkie. That's where all the updates for this show are posted. If you could please like this podcast, share it, rate and review it, subscribe, give it 5 stars, that'd be awesome. At the time of this recording, I think there's 89 5-star reviews, trying to get it to 100. So please, if you're listening, I know that there's a lot of people listening. I see the stats. So if you haven't left a review yet, please do it. Take a couple seconds. Just hit the 5-star button and it would be rad. So usually what goes on the show is I talk to people from dating apps that I don't know. And we get to talking about modern dating culture. But today, I got a good buddy of mine on the show. She is absolutely hilarious. She's the host of her own podcast, the Future Role Model Podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy my chat with Natasha Pearl Hansen. Got a former Dating is Hard game show contestant, a hilarious comedian, and awesome person all around. Welcome to the show, Natasha Pearl Hansen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So glad that you're
COVID-free, brand new home.
I know, right? It's so dope.
It feels pretty clean. It actually does.
Yeah, when Monterey Martinez, who was on the show with you, the Dating is Hard game show, when she came in, she was like, did you clean this just for me, or are you just this clean? I was like, well, I just moved here.
Yeah, it hasn't had time to marinate yet.
Exactly.
In the at-home filth.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't had time to just like take a shit on the floor yet, or whatever. I don't know.
You'll have time.
Yeah.
You'll have time. LA's shutting back down.
I've got at least a year.
You have at least until 2021 to make that happen. But thanks for having me. This is fun.
I'm so happy that you're here. So, as you just heard, what I normally do is I meet people through dating apps that I don't know at all, and I talk to them about their dating experience. But I know you. I'm curious, have you ever used a dating app?
Never.
Do you have a certain opposition to them, or just not?
No, I mean, I haven't really. Well, okay, yes, maybe a little bit. I met my ex, and we just broke up in January, and we were together for 9 years.
Oh, yeah.
Met my ex in an old-fashioned form. My mom's best friend saw him at her church.
Oh, wow, that's
and
very
introduced us. And she introduced us when we were 13, but we didn't actually meet up for technically a blind date, because she introduced us. God, I wonder. It was like. It was in passing or something at like a family function, so we don't remember it. We met in Chicago in real time when we were 21, and yeah, and we had talked back in the day, like, because there weren't apps yet, but when him and I were first dating, we had joked about like online dating and how we were having a debate about it. I remember one night we were like smoking weed and we were like, yeah, would you ever online date? And it was like before we were officially dating. And I was like, no, I don't think that's for me. And then he was like, well, you know what, there's something to it when they set you up, like what are the chances of meeting somebody like that in a bar? You know, they kind of do a lot of that separating for you. Yeah. So there is something to that. Like, it's definitely, there have been stories I've heard of people meeting their like long lost love on Tinder. I'm not ready for that yet. I feel like Instagram is already enough of like a barrage. While I was in lockdown, I was getting hit up by like a number of guys, and
loads of DM slides.
Yeah, not sexual ones. I've never received like a dick pic on Instagram or anything. Isn't that crazy?
Not to be like an asshole, but I find that surprising.
Yeah, I honestly haven't. I must just be like, maybe it's the energy I exude and people just don't.
I could see that being a deterrent for people.
Yeah, I get a lot of like kind DMs and like positive DMs, and then like fun and like goofy flirty, but like no salacious stuff.
Whoa, what's up, babe?
Every once in a while I'll get like the sugar baby offer, like, can I take you on me, and like, okay, that's cool. But I responded to one of those recently. I said, listen, I don't do anything salacious on here, but you're welcome to invest in one of my companies if you'd like. And that was like the response to that was really funny. Yeah, there was a number of guys who were reaching out to me over quarantine, and then they like just trailed off. I'm sure they got back on dating apps and were just like, meeting all sorts of women. So
yeah, I mean, so you broke up with your ex in January. I mean, and then bam, Corona fucking happened.
yeah,
it's not like there were a lot of going out options anyway.
No, I wouldn't even have wanted to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm at that place in my life where I was just like, I need to sit with this for a while and really like, take some time to examine why the fuck my relationship failed. I know. I mean, when it's failing, why it's happening, but you just can't it's like a ball rolling down a hill. You can't catch it. You're like, I know that this is happening, but I can't you can't wrap your head around it, your hands around it, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So I'm actually relieved that, quarantine hit when it did.
Yeah, it was kind of a forced sabbatical. Just being like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go spend some time with family and just like chill.
Yeah.
Fucking relax.
And to focus on my own shit and not worry about anybody else. Dating is like, it's a lot. Once I was out of the relationship, I was like, damn, I have like all this time. And I can do whatever I want with it. I mean, granted, at that point, not really.
Yeah.
But like, I could do as much work as I wanted throughout the day and watch what I wanted and hang out with my family. And like, I was like, damn, this is nice. I can't wait until like we're back to being free human beings in the world, and I have all this time to myself.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, sometimes that nice just being single and not going out and like trying to like meet people, it's so nice and you get so much accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to an all boys high school and everyone's always like, oh, how weird was that? It's like, I just did well in school. Like there wasn't a distraction.
There wasn't a distraction. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just hanging out with your bros, man. Like I don't know. People really trash the like all certain gender schools. Like my sister went to an all girls school too, and she loved it. I went to an all boys school, and like it was fine.
Yeah.
You know? Did you go to? You're
A Wisconsin chick.
Yeah.
I went to a regular old public school.
Okay.
Full of all sorts of people. Not a lot of racial mixage, but
yeah, I could see that.
it was definitely a lot of gender mixage.
Yeah.
We didn't have much for the diversity in Wisconsin as far as race, sexual orientation, but a lot of regular old Norwegian guys and gals.
Did you ever have like a high school sweetheart?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was your high school sweetheart all about?
I actually just reconnected with him over quarantine. He's super married with kids now.
Oh no!
But it's the four of us that reconnected were on house party together. It was me, my best girlfriend, and her ex high school sweetheart, and my ex high school sweetheart. The four of us used to be inseparable in high school.
Okay.
Her and I still talk like pretty much every day. She's one of my best friends. But we've all known each other since we were like 9. So the whole reconnecting thing was a blast. We were on house party for like 4 hours together one night, just getting drunk in our respective kitchens. And this guy was awesome. He was a quarterback of the football team.
Of course, you fucking.
I was a volleyball player, and I dated the QB.
Yeah. Power couple.
Oh yeah, you know it. And but he had one testicle.
Oh no, was that like a cancer thing or something?
No, it just never like dropped or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know really. I've never experienced it again, but that was the first testicles I'd ever seen. So I thought that's just what they looked like, and we had joked about it. So me and my girlfriends, when we broke up, we were so mean about it. Like not mean, but kind of.
Yeah.
You're kids. You can't really handle that information sensitively.
Well, like how old were you? Like 16, 17?
16, yeah. Yeah. I didn't lose my virginity to him. That's probably why we broke up.
That's either an indictment on him or like a brag about your sexual prowess. You're like, oh, if he would have gotten this, we would have been.
But yeah, so we were together. I didn't really date a lot of people. Like I've always been kind of picky.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like, especially at that age, I had a lot of like really close guy friends, and a number of them tried to date me, and I had to be like, no, I can't, because then this will suck if we break up. And so, yeah, I never really like serial dated.
Did you go to prom with this guy? The one testicle guy?
Nope. I went to prom with, I went to prom with one of my best guy friends, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. My prom. I went to a number of proms before my year with older guys.
How many proms did you go to?
3 in total.
Okay.
In high school. Mm-hmm.
Prom?
Did you guys have prom?
Oh yeah, we had proms.
Did you guys mix with the all-girls schools?
There was an all-girls school across the street, basically from us, and they were like in our plays and stuff, and the community of Catholic schools. Mm-hmm. It was like pretty small, so we all kind of knew each other, and yeah, we would go to like all the proms, and I just knew a load of people, and dude, I went to so many proms just because I was like, I'll go with anybody. I love this. This is awesome. I bought my own tuxedo because
oh my god,
yeah, it got too expensive to keep renting that.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive. You're like, I need to recycle. It was so
fun, and I was like, you got any friends that need dates? I got friends that like, and then we would all. It was like me and these 2 other guys, and we would go to all these proms and just like make it a blast for anybody
group
that
promming is so fun,
right? That was great.
And like you're I feel like you're forward thinking, because like I discovered that I loved crashing all sorts of things in my adult years, and I love to crash parties, weddings, whatever. I should have done what you did. You were just like pimping yourself out to enjoy other people's proms.
Pimping myself out and my friends.
Yeah.
We should throw like an adult prom.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
That'd be dope as fuck.
My prom, my junior prom, when I went with my friend, there was a group of like 16 of us, the same girl that I was referring to that we still talk all the time. It was her parents that orchestrated us getting this like stretch limo van. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the fucking coolest nights of my life, because obviously we like are in Wisconsin, like farm town. We're all drinking at that age. I guess I shouldn't say obviously, but if anyone's listening that knows people in Wisconsin, then it's obvious. So we were pulling away from her parents' house, and her parents would let us like drink at their house as long as we stayed there. They had a pool. They'd keep an eye on us, like, which a lot of Wisconsin parents do. I think like a lot of Midwest,
a lot of parents
do
do
that. Like if you stay here, that's fine.
Yeah, just don't drink and drive.
Don't go out. Don't do blah blah. Especially if you're young. So we get pulled safely away from the house, and we all start like sneaking out like our, somebody's got like their shitty weed, because there was no good weed in Wisconsin, or like the case of beer that we've been hiding in like the tux bag, and like all the stuff. We start pulling it out. The car's cruising. Then all of a sudden it stops, and the guy comes out into the main cabin, and we're all like trying to hide our stuff. And he was like, I just want you guys to know I know exactly what you're up to. And I know it's prom night. And I say, let's party.
Oh, shit.
And he was like, if you got any guns, you got to share it with me. And he goes, do you guys feel like doing some karaoke in my friend's garage before I take you to the prom? And we were like, what the fuck? Yeah.
God,
and
that sounds dangerous as hell.
He did. We went to these like old dude's house, and we're like jamming with them in their fucking garage. Like our pictures from prom. Like me and a number of my girlfriends that were supposed to be in my wedding and everything, we're just in there smoking in our prom dress, like old dudes just jamming in the background, and that was our pre-prom photos. It was like this random dude's garage. His name was like Bud or something.
Oh no!
Like straight up, but like in that era.
Yeah.
Like what you and I were talking about even before this, like it was so different. It just wasn't like. You didn't worry about that, somebody being creeping. It didn't feel creepy at all.
Well, I was talking to my buddy a little while ago about like the style of dance that was popular back then, which was just like you would just grind on people and just like simulate sex. And I wonder if that's happening. Like that happened where I went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
Like it was just dick on butt.
Yeah.
But I don't know what are the kids up to these days? Fucking old timers.
I have no idea. I mean, TikTok dances, nobody's
that's
touching each other
awful.
anymore, you know?
Yeah, dude, those
It's all
TikTok
like-
dances are so terrible.
They're so bad.
They're awful.
They're really bad, and I've done a couple of them.
They're terrible, and I participated.
I did participate in two.
Which one did you do? The
I
one
was-
where you're like, dude?
No, I hate that one.
That
That
one
one's the
fucking
most
sucks.
horrible.
That one sucks.
Like, who made that song? Like
I don't know.
like a 9-year-old with a recorder. It's like the worst song I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's just, ugh.
I only
Do
got
better.
I only got on TikTok to post stand-up clips, and then I ran out of stand-up clips. We've been in quarantine
Yeah,
for so
no
fucking
shit.
long.
Yeah, of course. You're gonna just have to take them down and repost them, and
Yeah, dude.
yeah, the whole thing. I'm just like, oh, I for stuff like that, I need to be inspired, and like this quarantine puts you in waves of inspiration. So I just have to wait to be re-inspired again for something exciting to happen.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So you met your ex-fiance, right? When you were 21, right? Was that after college? Were you still in college, or what was the deal?
Just left college to start comedy at Second City Chicago.
Oh shit. Okay, so you did Second City Chicago.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
How was that?
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome then because it wasn't as big of a school. It was just straight up comedy or comedy writing or the directing program. Later, it became, there was like 50 different types of classes you could take. It became like a mini college without college credit. But yeah, we met when I was doing improv, just improv. He came to my first improv show.
Was he doing improv or?
Nope.
Oh, this was the blind date where he was just like, "I'll be in the audience. Guess who I am."
Well, the blind date, he actually texted me and picked me up like on the corner by my apartment, and we went to like a bar. So what we did for our first date is we drank at like 3 PM and played darts. So that literally was when we first met. And then, yeah, we hung out a lot that summer, and he came to my improv show. Poor thing. He remembers it still. It was one of the worst things.
Was it like 101 class, or was this when?
Oh
you were in
yeah,
advanced
it was
level?
like in this class in particular. I decided we were at a prom in it. Oh my god, we were at a prom and I didn't have any legs. That was the scene. I'll never forget it. I'll never fucking forget it because it was so bad. Like who all of a sudden just decides they have no.
That's definitely a choice.
That's a choice, and that's not what you call a gift in improv. Like if you come in. If you come on the stage and you're like, I've got no legs, like, what do people do with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they're like, "How are you standing?" Did you like fall to the ground, or was it?
I was like squatting. It was like, it was so fucking bad. And I was wearing like the worst polo shirt. I have such a photographic memory. Like I can put myself into that spot. I was wearing like a polo shirt from TJ Maxx. It was like neon blue.
Oh god.
Everything about everything in that day was terrible. And he still talked to me after that. So
Yeah. Did you do anything with him afterwards? Did you go out post-show celebration?
I think we did. He came out with my family. And then, yeah, and I started stand-up when I was 25. So this is my 10th year of stand-up.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Longest
Awesome.
relationship I've had.
That's unfortunate.
I know. And now it's dead.
Yep, and now we're all on the rocks with stand-up.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So, yeah. And so we met, and then we were friends with benefits for 4 years. I moved to LA when I was 26. And we started,
Was he already out here?
yeah,
Okay.
he was already out here. He was modeling and acting.
Oh,
And we,
wow. High school football quarterback, model, actor.
yeah. He was a quarterback too of
Oh,
his high
son of a
school.
bitch.
I have a thing. Apparently now I just need to date a real quarterback. Like
Yeah.
I need to date somebody with some dinero so I can just chill the fuck out. I'm just kidding. It's not what I would ever even do. I'm weirdly like put off by guys that talk to me about their money. I've never wanted to date a rich guy. I was like, no, I'm going to be rich myself. So just go away.
Yeah. Future role model, Natasha Pearl Hansen. I never talk about money, and I always think it's weird when people are like, when people are like, do you mind if I ask you how much your rent is? Like, I don't understand why that's like a weird question.
It shouldn't be.
I don't get it.
Cost of stuff like anytime somebody's been weirded out by stuff like this, I tell them this story. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I worked at the Four Seasons. Mm-hmm. And the Jackson family used to come in all the time. And
Michael Jackson?
Yeah, Michael,
Shit.
LaToya,
Okay.
Janet. Yeah. There's a lot of stories about the family, but Michael was in there surrounded by all his people, his like entourage of people, and he has been famous since he was a kid, right? Mm-hmm. So he turned to his assistant at one point. Everyone's like talking to him and asked if he'd get him a Snickers, and he gave the assistant $100, and the assistant came back and like gave him the Snickers and no change. And one of the girls who'd worked at the Four Seasons forever and knew the family was like, no, you owe him like $99. Yeah. And Michael literally was like, how much is a Snickers?
Dude, I hear stories about that.
He did not.
All the time.
No, he had no idea. How many people probably are stealing from people like that? He had been famous for so long. Everyone's doing everything for him. He doesn't know how much shit costs. Mm-hmm. How are we ever supposed to get ahead as humans if we don't know what shit costs?
How can you also think that a Snickers would cost $100?
Yeah, but like he like literally, that's just how how would he know? He'd never bought one.
Well, I heard a story about how Dwayne Wade didn't know how much milk cost, and he thought it was like $20 a gallon. Gabrielle Union was like, "What? Are you fucking serious?"
No way.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stories like that with
just like, complete naivety or like carelessness with money, and it's like, But yeah, I always thought that was funny. So needless to say,
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there. But yes,
There's
back to. So you moved to LA in 26.
Mm-hmm.
Your
At 26. Mm-hmm.
man friend was already out here. Were you already friends with benefits, or when you moved there?
No, we were friends with benefits like the summer that he was still in Chicago, but that fall he moved to LA. But we'd see each other whenever he was back in Chicago or whenever I came to LA.
Okay. All right. So it was like whenever it was one of you were in town.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he was straight up living out here for 4 years, and then I moved out on my own accord, and we just hung out every day. We were each other's like favorite people to hang out with, and eventually that just led to us dating.
Yeah. Was there ever a conversation where it was like, hey, this is more than just friends with benefits at this point?
Yeah, we talked about it like a couple times. It wasn't the type of thing like he's such a good guy. He's such a loyal type of person. I wasn't the type of person that was like, I need to know what we are.
Yeah.
It took about 8 months for us to really define it. Mm-hmm. But it was just, we were young and just kind of easing into it and seeing where it went. But then when we decided we were going to start dating, we moved in then like a year later together and have lived in the apartment we have now ever since then.
That's rad as fuck. All of my relationships have usually started out as just friends with benefits. Mm-hmm. I've never really gone from, hey, I would like to take you out, and then girlfriend for years.
No.
It's never happened for me.
No.
I don't know if that's like something fucked up in my brain.
I don't think there's anything fucked up about that. I mean, I'm like a very, well, it's hard to say because I haven't dated a ton, but I have a lot of guy friends that I've had over the last 9 years while I was in this relationship. I like to just feel like I know somebody well. I can't, like, I'm not attracted to somebody just by like how they look or by what they do. Yeah. Like I have to also like their brain and their mind and their personality.
Yeah.
Like quite a bit. So for like there has to be like that kind of chemistry, which you don't generally get like the first day you meet somebody.
That's true.
Every once in a while. I felt that once in my life.
Really? What happened?
A couple years ago, but I was in a relationship, so didn't get to pursue it.
What's stopping you now?
I haven't reached out to this person.
What's stopping you now?
I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like it's still too soon. I gotta kind of let this marinate for a while.
Yeah.
I almost wrote him in January, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. That seems really too.
It was too fresh, and so it was like a cathartic thing to kind of just write it out and just see how he was doing, kind of thing. It wasn't like I've missed you type of thing, but it was like. That was the first person. That was kind of what threw off my kilter. Me and my ex were already engaged, but our engagement was starting to not go in a good direction. It just felt like we were kind of veering apart. So I was in that kind of headspace a little, like not available, but just, I guess open.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, where it's like we both recognize this isn't going well now, and yeah.
And I had a ring on, so there's a safety net to that. Like I always have so many guy friends or like travel with guys because of comedy. So when I met this guy, it was like super harmless. It was just we were at a comedy festival. He's like comedy adjacent.
Okay.
Like would dabble in stand-up, but like mostly producing stuff. So he's kind of like in the world, but not completely. But we just our like energy together was just so we just like clicked, and we were friends and like working on a couple projects together for a couple months, and then it made my ex really uncomfortable, and I quit talking to him. So I always wondered like if something were to happen, if I should.
Well, when you had that moment of like, this is going really well and this is clicking and I really like this person, was a little part of you like, oh fuck, like this isn't good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's such a wild feeling.
I know.
It's like,
yeah, and it was tough for both him and I.
Yeah. Do you think that he felt the same way?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we both felt the same way. But that's like a weird thing to admit too, because it's like you're not. It's such that's not like an okay thing to have happen, but we weren't like actively looking for that. It just kind of happened. It just worked. So that was a bummer, man. That actually, like, within the time that I was engaged, I felt like I had like almost like emotionally fallen for somebody, and then had to like break up with them in my mind a little bit. Yeah. Like because I thought we would have been like really great friends for a long time, and to have to cut them out of your life is like.
Well, did you express your feelings about that person to your fiance, and that's why he was like, you can't work with this dude anymore?
Yes.
Okay.
I was very honest with Pieces. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was honest with Pieces.
Yeah.
I think there's as my grandma puts it, my grandma's like one of my best friends. She's like, sometimes there are secrets of the heart, and you should keep those to spare people's feelings. So I was honest about it as much as he needed to know.
Yeah, and it just made him like, hey, well, why don't you pump the brakes on that shit then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was that kind of were those feelings kind of ultimately what led to it dissipating? That
was just one piece. There was a bunch of things in hindsight. A lot of it was, I'm really family oriented and I love to travel. Those are like really two big pieces of who I am as a person. I feel like alive when I'm around, my friends or my family or experiencing new things. And I was always traveling solo. Like he never came with me. I went to pretty much every wedding alone of all my best friends.
Why?
Every family engagement. He never would take the time off of work. And so he's one of the best men I know. Like, I would never ever say anything bad about, like, he's legitimately one of the best, sweetest, thoughtful men. But with the simple things that I need as a person, it's really not a ton.
Yeah.
I don't need somebody to like shower me in compliments or stuff. I like having a lot of my own time, and I have a lot of friends, and so it's not like I require a lot of somebody's attention either. I like some spontaneity with like doing, like, I'm an experienced person.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fun thing to want to do with somebody. In the 9 years we were together, I think we were on a plane together 2 or 3 times.
Well, why didn't he want to go? Does he just hate travel or what?
No, it wasn't even like that. I mean, he just wouldn't, I always look at like what I'm up to and what my friends are up to, and I'm like a connector, right? So I'll think of, oh, you're going to be so-and-so. Okay, let's cross over here. Like, I do that naturally.
Yeah.
I love to meet up with my friends in like whatever random cities. I'm always seeing people all over the world. So just like, he wouldn't like work with me to like find, oh, I have to do this job. And he had to do a job in Australia for 3 weeks, like the end of 2018. We were already in like a really rocky place at this point. Mm-hmm. To the point where I told him to not even call me the 3 weeks that he was there. Like, that's how bad we were at that point. And it took us another,
another year.
Another year and a half to actually call it but I had scheduled all these comedy shows so I could come and meet him. And then like a couple weeks before, he was like, no, I have too much work to do while I'm there. I'm not going to be able to. And so it was just like this damper on everything. I was always like, I'll be flexible. I'll come where you're going. I can schedule stuff wherever. Like, just give me a heads up. But he wouldn't even give me like that heads up. And so, there's things about him that I keep thinking, oh man, I'm really going to miss that. This is hard. I wish he would have like come around. But you can't change people. So if that's not what he wanted to do and that's not ingrained in him, then I was talking with my mom about it this morning. I was like, I just, whenever I have somebody eventually in my life, I want them to be like seamlessly a part of it. Not that I don't want to have to force them to like work with me on cool shit or like come with me places every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I would. So you were planning to do shows in Australia while he was there, and then he was like, don't. Mm-hmm. That's so bizarre. And
I'm the type, like, I don't care if you're working all day, 12 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
I just go out and explore by myself. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
It's not like I need to be babysat. I would have loved to have still gone. I was really mad at him for that. And yeah, it was just stuff like that all the time. Also, big thing, his family was really, really shitty to me.
Really? What happened?
They just don't like what I do.
Comedy?
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. Huh. Couldn't really put a finger on it. They just never believed in me, never thought that I was going to become anything. Really ingrained that into his head that, like, when I was, coming up, that, like, monetary reflections of your success was all that mattered.
Yeah.
So to them, I was just a nothing.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. I'm sorry for people that think that if your family isn't like good to your significant other, think that that's okay. Because it's like that's a really tough thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you think that you could have like just made it work with the family?
I used to hang out with his brother all the time in Chicago when he didn't live there. We'd go get beers and stuff. Like, I had a great relationship with the family early on, but I think they thought that comedy was going to wear off for me and I'd get a real job.
Yeah.
And
then once things got like more serious and it's like, we're engaged, and it's like, wait, what?
They stopped inviting, after we got engaged, they stopped inviting me to Christmas.
Fuck.
I hadn't seen his family in like 3 years.
Jesus.
So that was like a big point of no return for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm best friends with all of my families, or all my friends' families. Like, I hang out with all my friends' parents when they're not in town when I go back to Wisconsin. So, and that's something that I knew. I was like, well, it's not me. So I would be friends with these people. And like that's what's funny too when you look at a family after you like aren't in it anymore. You kind of look at them and you're like, I dodged a bullet. They're just like highly uninteresting to me. Like I was like, I did all this shit they wanted to do every time I'm like playing these board games that I don't even like.
Did your family like your fiance?
Yeah, but he would come like over Christmas. Our houses are like 45 minutes from one another.
Okay.
He'd come see my family for like a day or a day and a half and then go back to his. Like his family has him on a leash. So my mom even was like, after all these years, like we literally like over 9 years, she's like, we probably spent maybe 12 days with Justin total.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's kind of weird actually when I think about it.
Yeah, I dated a girl when I lived in New York, and my family's in Baltimore, and that's like a 4-hour drive. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like like me and that girl, I was always over because she at a certain point she moved back in with her parents, and I was just always hanging out with her parents, and then she would come to my place in Baltimore to visit family, and just like would stay for 5-6 days.
Yeah.
That just seems like what you do.
Yeah. Right? Especially after you've been with somebody for that long. Yeah. And there's so many layers. I mean, it's actually fun to talk about it out loud because I hadn't really thought about a lot of these points.
Yeah.
You know, in quarantine, you're not like looking to blame your ex-partner for what I was just trying to figure out like where I can improve as a person. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't really even thought about a lot of these things, but in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, we're probably doomed for a while. There were a lot of things against us.
So when you were feeling that kind of like, I guess, emotionally cheating vibe with that other person,
yeah,
did you ever feel like what's his name? I'm sorry.
My ex?
Yeah.
Justin.
Did you ever feel like he was feeling the same way about like somebody else, or was it?
No, I never worried about that. I really never worried about that. I never even really worried about much with myself. Mm-hmm. Just like I knew I had my own boundaries. But I did actually find out, and this was good. Like this felt good for me because I was carrying a lot of guilt from that whole situation for quite a while. When I started doing therapy and talking to her about it, technically, emotional cheating is when you have a person that you only talk to about certain things that you don't tell your partner.
Oh, okay.
So it's using them as your emotional source and your source of someone to go to for everything, and you're eliminating that from your partner. That wasn't occurring.
Okay.
So technically it wasn't even emotional cheating. It was
just catching a little bit of feels.
Yeah.
Outside of the old relation.
Outside the relation.
Outside the old relation.
I said that earlier, and I was like, don't worry, I've never said that before.
So, do you have like a type? Like, what's your type if you're like looking at...
My God, I don't know.
It seems like it's quarterbacks.
Right? No, because the one before my fiance was a degenerate, tattooed. I don't think I really have a type. I think I know what I don't want.
What do you not want?
Well, I don't want somebody who doesn't enjoy a lot of physical activity. I like being very active. I don't want somebody who only needs alcohol to have fun, because I've definitely seen enough of that in my time. Yeah. Everything has to involve drinking. And I'm like, I enjoy it, but I'm also like I'll have drinks, but I don't need to get like shit-faced everywhere I go. That's
one of the main reasons why I never drank.
Yeah.
I knew people like that in high school, and they were like, we need to drink before every single activity that we do. And I was like, that's fucking horrible. Like, can't you?
Yeah.
Like, we'd be going to do something fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're already going to be having fun. Like, we're going to have more fun. It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that kind of like put me off to that whole thing, and I was just, yeah.
Exactly.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and those are details I won't get into, obviously, because that's on somebody else's terms to fix with themselves. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy having a drink with friends, but if we're meeting out and having dinner and like blah blah blah, that's one thing.
Yeah.
I'll have like a beer on my patio or something with a friend. But if I'm gonna go like,
Just go get fucked up.
if I'm gonna go on a hike, I don't have to have like fucking wine beforehand. Like I don't have to like every day have a drink. Like I'm not gonna drink tonight. Like it doesn't have to always be a thing. Just balance it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything that's a crutch. I definitely won't be with somebody again who doesn't enjoy traveling. I won't be with somebody who doesn't like being business savvy and investing and finances, because I've gotten really into that, and I like that shit. I like having a business portfolio and like doing that stuff, being in charge of that stuff.
That's also such a smart and important part of life.
Yeah. Well, and it is. And if we live in a place like LA, it's not very practical to be able to buy property for everybody, especially not right now.
Yeah.
So to have some sort of handle on like investing in little ways, or where to put funds, or how to manage things like that, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I
kind of recently got into that, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm a fucking adult.
I know. No, it really does like make you feel like sorry, I was hitting the table and you were like, don't hit the table.
It's fine.
It makes you feel like it's a...
Oh, hold on. Make me sound like a dictator.
Yeah, right. Don't hit the table.
I'm so sorry.
Never hit the table.
You told me never hit the table.
I told you not at the table. Cuts my head off.
Before we start recording, I give people a speech. I say, hey, try not to hit the table because it picks up on the microphone. Not
Ding,
like,
ding,
hey,
ding, ding.
stupid bitch.
He told me that I was going to die if I hit the table. This table is built on COVID, James. No, I'm just kidding. So that's a big thing. Another really, really big thing, I will never be with somebody who doesn't have my back.
Yeah.
Who doesn't thoroughly trust me as a human being and just have my back. That's something my ex failed at. That was really, really hurtful, was the stuff with his family. Just not having
he didn't
the ability to it was always my fault. And I had reached out numbers of times to the brothers and blah, 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 to try to make things right. And they just shitty, man.
Did the brothers say anything like, that's just how our parents are and that's just what they're going to do? Or like what?
No, the brother was the one that started it all.
Oh, really? What happened?
That I had been friends with for years, as long as I'd known my ex.
How did that happen?
Oh my God. It was actually this week, 2018. The 4th of July weekend, me and a number of friends, couples, some of them had kids with too, had rented a cabin in Big Bear, and it was like $200 a person, super cheap. My ex didn't want to come up with everybody, so I went to rep for us with all of our couple friends.
It's gotta be so fucking awkward.
No, not at all. I mean, these are like my best friends. So
okay.
it was like one other single friend of mine and then other couples. It wasn't awkward at all. Like we all hang out all the time. He made 2 excuses for why he didn't want to come up. Money. He was always worried about spending money. I always have the mentality, like, if you are always worried about spending, like, be smart about money, but like, you have to live a little too.
Yeah.
If it's your constant fear, you're never going to have enough of it, you know? That's fucking true. Like, if you trust that it'll keep coming, you'd be surprised how much it does.
Yeah.
So it was that, and then his brother was going to randomly be in town. So he hung out with his brother all weekend, and I told my friends, I said, you watch. His brother's going to do some shit talking or whatever, and I'm going to come back to a shit storm. And kid you not, I walk in the door from Big Bear. I'm all like jolly from like a really great weekend. We had all done like mushrooms over the weekend. Like, you know, you're just like euphoric after that. I walk in the door within 5 minutes, Justin had left the room, and his brother had just like basically told me that I was belittled my career and told me I like in worse words that I wasn't good enough for Justin and I wasn't helping him out, and I needed to get a job doing what I know how to do, bartending or serving.
That's a noble profession.
He came into our house and said all this stuff, and I was irate, and I left. Yeah. I left the house, and my ex did not call me until his brother left town.
Wow.
And so I never really let that go, because he didn't ever stick up for me. My ex never apologized for that day, never stuck up for me, and his brother and I never spoke after that.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
God.
I know. It's pretty shitty. That was the shittiest 4th of July ever.
I believe it.
So
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah. And so that was impossible for us to recover from. That moment was pretty defining on so many levels. I mean, if somebody doesn't stick up for you after that, you know, and in a moment like that, in any sort of way, that's pretty telling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, usually I have like a story to be like, yeah, I can relate to that because this happened. I have nothing.
I know. I've never experienced something like that in my life. Like
it's wild.
I don't have blowouts with people. Like I fix things. You know, I don't really have those kinds of situations in my life.
Well, that's a bummer.
So yeah, it was really weird. Weird isn't even a good word for it, but I don't really.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate's a great word. But yeah, so that was that, and then
just another year and a half of just kind of like
another year and a half of.
How do you? So you don't need to get into like specifics, but how do you have the conversation of like, this isn't a thing anymore once you've gotten to that point of like, we're supposed to be getting married, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never been engaged before.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people that are listening like have never been engaged before. Like what? How do you approach that?
Well, that's why. So in 2018 was when we were originally supposed to get married. We got engaged in 2017, and it was supposed to be August of 2018. So as we were creeping up on the wedding day, and he had just like his job situation had changed a couple times, and I was like, let's push it a year so we have time to just sort these like financial things out. So luckily the venue pushed it a year, and at the start of 2019, I also knew that wasn't going to happen. So that's when I shot my comedy special last year called I Was Supposed to Get Married Today at my wedding venue on my wedding day.
That's pretty
So
cool.
to me, it was like a conquering of the situation. That would have been a deficit of like tens of thousands of dollars for just the venue fee, and I ended up making money.
Yeah.
So
that's dope as fuck.
I sold it out all by
made
myself.
You made limoncello LaCroix
No
out of lemons.
shit. and that is like, and I realized after that, I was like, this is my like his family didn't even offer. It was my mom and me on the contract for the venue. His family didn't ever say, oh, we're sorry you guys aren't ready. Like, can we just pay for, like, his dad has money.
Yeah.
But what didn't offer to pay really for anything for the wedding in the first place. Also didn't offer to like help us out with the cancellation fee. And then they just shit talked me the whole time when I was shooting. The special is not a slight on him or the family. I mentioned him like 2.5 jokes.
Yeah.
The rest of it's like about the situation and about my family, or about weddings and about my family.
Yeah.
And I rewatched it the other day, and I'm actually really fucking proud of it. It's coming out soon, so maybe right around the time this podcast is out, it'll be perfect timing. But yeah, so it's good. I did it with a lot of tact. It wasn't like a slam, but they were so shitty about it, and I was like, I saved the day here. Truly saved the day. All on my own. I had no help. My ex didn't like try to help sell tickets or tell people to come or anything like that. So it was like me and my family. We decorated it. We did everything. Had my director come in. All my best friends came. My wedding guests, for the most part, came and brought people. It was cool.
How many people was it?
It held like 130.
That's perfect.
It was perfect.
Dope as shit.
It was perfect.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's what we were aiming for the size of our wedding. We could have like stretched it, but we needed the camera and like the dollies and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm just damn proud of it. You know, so here I am a year later. I shot that June 15th of last year. A year later, I'm finally without my ring, single, and have a comedy special coming out.
That's the dream, baby.
It's like it's so cyclical. It's going to be coming out like my 10-year comedy mark, and it's my longest relationship, and it's about the relationship that did my second longest.
There you go.
Something like really cool about that.
That's so cool. I was trying to shoot a special this year, and then fucking coronavirus.
Yeah.
I was like calling places, getting prices and everything, and it was like,
yeah.
Ugh.
Well, and now I'm like, this kind of puts me in this position to have to do something really creative with each of my specials. Like my next one's gonna have to be at like somebody's funeral. It's gonna have to be just one long eulogy.
Oh
my
God,
dad died today. No, I'm just kidding. Themed everything.
Themed sacrament
yeah.
specials.
But I mean, you know, it's kind of like if you're gonna have any sort of theme, it's like take a bad day and turn it awesome.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not a funeral. But...
I mean, you already had the venue.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You were just going to lose that money.
Exactly.
So you might as well fucking.
And because I shot something in it, and I said we're gonna put, we'll put your logo in there and show the front of the bar and say where it was shot and give you guys a shout out. They gave me a deal because it was no longer a wedding anymore.
That's rad.
So I negotiate everything. I know how to like do business, man.
Yeah.
So I was proud of myself for that. And I was like, any groom to be would be like, you go.
Yeah,
like that's good for you. You just saved us.
That's awesome.
So if he would have been in a better headspace, he would have realized what a great thing I did.
Okay, so switching topics a little bit. One of the general questions I ask everybody on here is, what's the worst date you've ever been on? Do you have any worst date stories?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be like a first date. It can just be like you were excited about going to this place or whatever, and then just awful shit.
I've had like, oh God, it's been so long since I've been on a date, like a decade. So it's like, I really have to think.
Yeah, it's weird to ask you that question because most of the people, it's like, yeah, I went on a date last week and this guy showed up.
Yeah, I really have to think. Like I was always really picky about dates. Like this is going to sound weird, but maybe not. When I was younger, I would be more apt to like meet a guy out for drinks and potentially like hook up with them on a first date than I would to like want to spend time with them at dinner. I actually had to really like somebody already to want to go and like just fucking talk to them and eat across from them. Yeah. Like on a first date, fuck no. No. I do not want to eat and look at you and like waste a good meal on bad conversation. Like, I've
been there.
Now it's different. Like I would probably do drinks. I'd done before COVID hit. I had met like 2 different guys for drinks, like while I was in New York performing. But I wouldn't hook up. I don't think on the first. Maybe if it felt like the right person, but even now, I don't think. I think I'm too old for that now.
Too old for what are you talking about? I'm too old for that now.
But I have to really think somebody's badass. Like,
yeah.
I have to really like think they're cool as a person. There was a guy I went on a date with in New York. We just went and got a drink, sat at the bar, ate some food. It was really invasive because it was at the bar. And we ended up chatting for like 4.5 hours. To me, that's a successful date.
That's pretty rad.
I had been on some where the person's just a terrible conversationalist, and it's like exhausting to have to carry a conversation.
Dude, I know.
It's, that even in a podcast world. Have you ever had even like,
oh, I'll tell you,
isn't it surprising how,
mic.
yeah, there are some, even just for me too, even with other, there's been like 2 comics I was surprised by how difficult it was to pull.
Well, you just think the comics are going to be good because, we're on stage and we're storytellers. We know what we're doing. And then you get them in a room and you're like, so, like, what's the, like, worst date you've been on? It's like, well, I don't know. Like, this guy.
And they'll just wait for you to ask them a question. I'm like, this is a conversation. Like, talk to me. React to my shit. Like, listen, it's not a Q&A session.
Yeah.
I am not your president. Like, well, I probably would be better at it. But we won't go there. But yeah, so this is an interesting one. I'm still really good friends with this guy. This wasn't a first date. This was somebody that I had known forever before I moved to LA in my former city. And we had always had this like sexual tension, never hooked up. We were friends for years, and he was so before I moved, we hooked up one night, and it was the worst thing I've ever experienced.
What was bad about it? Just off rhythm?
Jackhammer sex.
Ooh. See, I don't know. I'm not a lady. I don't understand the
any lady would know what that is. It's just like pound, 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 pound. It was just like it was just like stunningly bad.
Yeah.
And it never happened again. And we still are we're still friends. I see him, when I go back to the city. But
has he tried to like rekindle that flame?
No.
He was like, I know I fucked that up.
I don't know if he know. I don't know if he knows. We just never had been single again at the same time, so it kind of worked out. It kind of just worked out. But yeah, more situations like that when I was younger.
Just bad sex.
Mostly.
What's the worst sex you've ever had? What happened?
I had a very growly guy once that I couldn't get over. Me and my friends joked about him forever. Just everything. I was just like, you think this is hot for me? It's funny to actually think back on all this because it's such like a foreign part of my life.
It's pretty far removed at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty far removed. I don't have like emotional attachment to it. At the time, it was like such a source of like sheer joy and like make funnery. Now I'm just like, oh man, that's funny that was that's funny that was ever a piece of my life. But yeah, that's pretty much.
That's so funny because there's always like, I feel like everybody has a certain turn off. And to hear like, yeah, this guy was like growling. For some other lady that was like, oh my god, this is animalistic.
He was, yeah. There was one guy. Oh my god, I can't believe I just remembered this. Before I started dating my ex-fiance, there was one guy I hooked up with that was like, started to, while we were hooking up, was like whispering in my ear about how much he wanted to like impregnate me.
Oh.
And I couldn't keep going. And he was like, oh, I heard that was like a really, like, would make like a woman really like tense up because it's like nature or natural.
Yeah.
Like caveman like almost.
Chicks want to get pregnant, bro.
It creeped me to fuck out.
Yeah, that's really weird, especially if you're like not looking to have kids at that point.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was like, hello, I'm 24 years old. Like, get off of me. He was a little bit older than me. I think he was in his early 30s.
Okay.
So he must have listened to some really terrible podcast about sex advice that was not accurate.
Definitely wasn't this one. This podcast rules.
Yeah, right? No shit. Those are kind of ones that stand out to me.
I've had the opposite problem where I've had women that I've like hooked up with. They say that I orgasm too quietly.
Like an electric car.
Like I wouldn't make a noise. And so now So now that's like a concerted effort for me to be like, okay, I need to make a noise. Like one time a girl was like going down on me and I had come. Mm-hmm. And she just kept going and I was like, hey, I finished. And she was like, oh, you didn't like make a noise. I was like, how did you not realize when there's, cum
something in your mouth? Yeah. There's two different ways cum has happened.
Yeah. So
sound and stuff.
That blew my mind that she was like, I didn't realize. I was just waiting for you to like make a noise. It's like, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah. That's funny. That's really so funny. You're like, you didn't taste anything different?
Yeah, no.
Maybe it's because you don't drink. Maybe you're flavorless.
Actually, I don't know. This is about to get too TMI, but like I eat a fuckload of fruit. So I apparently hear that I taste pretty darn good.
Sweet, yeah. That's the whole pineapple theory. Remember hearing that back in the day? How they were like, drink all the pineapple juice.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
But I also haven't tasted cum.
Yeah. I've never done an experiment with a, what do you call it when you have like a steady?
A/B test.
Yeah, I've never done one of those, so I wouldn't know either, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. But then there's also like, I don't know, man. It's so weird. Like, because certain people have certain things. Like somebody told me a while ago that they liked the like noises that I made while we were having sex. Mm-hmm. And they said it was like so manly or whatever. So maybe that growling guy got that speech.
Maybe. I think he was just taking it to another level. I mean, it was like really growly.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
I feel like most people, like, I feel like you have to kind of go out of your way to find bad stories. Like, there are certain comics I know that specifically go on Tinder dates, so they have, like, material.
I hate that.
I do, too. It's like...
That's, like, distrustful. Because you're misusing a thing and people are looking for something, and if you're going out there and being like, whatever, at least it'll be, like, a joke. At the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's cheap. I think if you like, I don't feel like, I don't know. I guess I can't talk for other people because my material comes to me like in moments of actual happenings and I'll like write about it and then perfect it later.
Yeah.
I don't go out and like seek, I'm not like, oh, I'm going to go do that fucked up thing because I bet it's going to be a good story. Every once in a while, like I crashed a wedding last year. Yeah, it was last year. And I knew it would probably be a good story, but I didn't realize how good it would be. And then I did put that in my special.
I can't write like that. All of my stuff is just like, I'll just have a stroke of inspiration and it'll just like a lightning bolt. Like, I'm not one of the people that can just sit down and be like, I'm going to write for an hour today. Like,
I don't either.
I don't understand people that can do that.
I don't either. It has to literally be from a situation. I didn't crash the wedding to look for a story either. I mean, that happened to just be something I'd always wanted to do. But I did talk about it. But most of my stuff is like just pretty real stories.
Yeah.
That I just, punch up.
Well, all right. We've been talking for a while now. I'm going to ask you the last two questions that I ask everybody on this podcast. Okay. First question is a little bit of a new one. I've just started like introducing this one and I kind of like it. Who is a celebrity that you think would be in your league if they weren't a celebrity? The hottest you could do.
I actually feel like I could do pretty well.
I think you could.
Even right now, even if they're a celebrity, I'm pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
It's different. This is a different question for women because it's like it could really happen where you could be like, yeah, I fucked a celebrity last week,
like for sure, Josh Hartnett.
Oh, okay, yeah, Josh Hartnett.
I used to. Oh man, he used to be like my Superman crush. Also, Jay Hernandez.
I don't know who that
is. He's a very hot Latino guy. I always like the dark featured-y, kind of thicker eyebrowy kind of.
Yeah, Josh Hartnett's got some brows.
Yeah, I got some brows. I've always been attracted to like Greek or like Latino-looking guys, but never dated one.
Why not?
I don't know.
Maybe it's time to change that.
I never got a good one. I was always
John
taken.
Stamos.
Yeah, that's a good look. Trying to think of who else I would totally go after. I'm sure there's some really good athletes out there that I'd be interested in. Those are the two that stick out to me.
Hartnett and...
Because I had crushes on them back in the day, so how
Jay.
cool would it be to date them now?
What is Jay Hernandez from?
He was in Crazy Beautiful. He was also the love interest in Bad Moms for Mila Kunis.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's just like, he's like handsome, but he's not like...
What about that Joe Manganiello guy? That guy's hot as...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He is.
He's married to Sofia Vergara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I love how I'm like, I could hook you up with what about like Joe Manganiello? Fucking, I don't know what it is.
You know who I think is super hot, and we've hung out. We used to hang out back in the day with my ex and a couple of our close friends. He used to be married to Kate Beckinsale, Len Weissman. He's a director.
Yeah.
You would know him if you looked
if
it up.
I saw him,
He used to direct all like her stuff. He's a cool guy, a really, really cool guy, and I always found him to be so attractive. And he's older than me, which I find to be attractive as well.
What was the attractive part about it? Was it like how he looked, or
I
was
would
it
love
like
to
his
run into
vibe?
that guy, but I don't know if he's still single. He probably isn't.
Yeah, probably. I'm looking him up right
But he
now.
was just a really cool dude.
All right, well, I tried to look him up and it crashed my computer.
Yeah.
That guy was so hot, it fucking broke the recording.
That was a real-time crashing. That was really funny. And we only got like 40 seconds of conversation that we missed.
Yeah.
And it was mainly just about
how you can manifest.
I'm manifesting things because we're
gonna-
stuck inside anyway.
Yes. We're saving so much money.
Yes.
No circus stuff.
No circus
gas
stuff.
We're going to do circus when it's back.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Dude, you don't know anybody with an at-home trapeze? I mean, come on.
I feel like I might.
You probably do.
trapeze is different.
Oh, okay.
Trapeze is harder to rig up. Like, I know people with at-home
It's also like more
silks.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I would really like to do silks. You get really, really strong doing
Yeah, your forearms get fucking shredded.
sweet. I can't wait. That's the one part of my body that nobody's ever complimented was my forearms.
Really?
So.
Why? Yeah.
I was saying this to somebody else. I was like, I get compliments from women on my triceps and my abs all the time. But men always compliment my back.
I was going to compliment your shoulders.
Yeah.
I like your shoulders. You got
Yeah.
great shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I'm a strong lady.
Yeah, when you came in and you were like wearing a tank top, I was like, oh, shoulders.
I
Those
know.
are dope
See, people
shoulders.
that work out and do a lot of upper body stuff notice that kind of stuff. This took work to get to in like Muay Thai and chin ups and pull ups and stuff for years. And women are really afraid to work their upper body, but it's attractive.
Yeah.
Being fit in the upper body, not being like ripped.
Yeah. Well,
But-
yeah. There was always like this one woman at the circus place who just had like amazing shoulders. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to my friend about it, and I was like, I just want to like massage her shoulders, just like go behind her and just like go like just feel them.
Yeah.
Because her shoulders were beautiful.
Yeah.
I never thought that I'd be like into that.
I know, isn't that weird? But I mean, I think it's something that when you start training like that, you start appreciating it. Because I didn't have all this like better upper body strength until I started doing kettlebell and Muay Thai, and that really changed like everything about my body.
Yeah. All right. Last question before we
Yes.
wrap this bad bitch up. What's one piece of advice that you'd give everybody listening about dating?
Ooh, man, go with your gut.
Yeah.
For real. I mean, I feel like that's such a simple piece of advice. But if I had gone with my gut where things were even going in my relationship, I'm so good at doing that in every other aspect of life. I'm a good decision maker. But it's tough with relationships. There's so many layers and like emotions attached to stuff. But my gut was telling me that this wasn't working quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, timing's everything. Timed out great. I got to quarantine, deal with it, you know.
Got to chill at home for a
Got to
bit.
chill, have some fam time. But yeah, you know if something isn't working and don't fucking force it.
All right. There you go. Go with your gut, everybody. Natasha, you have, how can people find you? Website, Instagram, all that shit.
All that shit.
Stuff that you can promote.
My website is nphcomedy.com, Natasha Pearl Hansen, not Neil Patrick Harris, but that will help you remember it. nphcomedy.com, my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, nphcomedy, or Natasha Pearl Hansen. On my website, I have a couple different platforms I'm partnered with for being hired for virtual sessions, virtual roastings, virtual whatevers. So you can book me for stuff. I'm supposed to have some tours coming up. They're all very, very question mark right now. So just keep an eye on my website or my Instagram for that. Yeah. And
also look out for that special.
Oh, and I have a podcast.
Oh, yeah, your podcast.
Future Role Model is my podcast.
There
Future Role Model with Natasha Pearl Hansen. So you can find that too on
Isn't
iTunes.
it weird when you have so much shit to plug?
Yeah.
Like, I did a podcast, one of my friends' podcasts, and he was like, what's your plugs? I was like, well, I got 2 podcasts. I got my website. Here's my Instagram.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit. And I have my startup soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there you go, everybody. Natasha, thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you for having me. That was nice.
There you have it, everybody. That was my chat with NPH, Natasha Pearl Hansen. Head on over to NPH Comedy and check out all of her shit. Be on the lookout for that album. Check out her podcast, Future Role Model. It's a good time. And yeah, she gets the Dating is Hard endorsements. That's the most valuable thing that can happen in this business, guys. But anyway, she's a great person. I'm glad that got to have her on the podcast. I'm really loving getting to do this again and talk to people about all of their, dating shit and what they think about what's going on in the world right now. So if you want to know stuff about this show, head on over to datingishardcomedy.com. Follow the Instagram at datingishardcomedy. Follow me on Instagram at Joe Welkie, posting the updates all over there. All up on those pages, baby. If you could please give this a 5-star review, trying to get it to 100, that'd be fucking rad. I'd really appreciate that. It takes a couple of seconds, guys. Come on, let's pull it together. I know there's lots of people listening to this. I see the stats, baby. I get it. Yeah, but go on Apple Podcasts, give it 5 stars. That'd be rad. Until next time, guys, I'll just be talking to you later.